Greetings from Upjoint Media. Thank you guys for joining us for yet another episode. Finally, we are back after some time. Remember, your host is still one man different, Kalismas mtukufu yule bingwa wa kuburura rukwama. And today, I'm so much privileged that I'll be hosting one of the most brilliant ladies that Kenya has been blessed with. And this is a young and highly sought after editor. She's experienced in editorial and publication of curriculum-based materials, research journals, and different genres of books. Now, kindly take this moment to introduce yourself to our viewers before we proceed.
Okay, thank you, Callistus, for having me on this platform.
Welcome.
So, my name is Linda Kachipela. I am an editor, as you have heard from my host.
Yeah.
Yes, and apparently, I'm also working as a public relations assistant.
Okay.
Besides editing.
Besides editing, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe our viewers would like to know your education background. So briefly tell us about your education background. Maybe I've just picked someone from the street.
Well, so I have pursued a bachelor's degree in communication and public relations, but along the way, I thought of taking the path of print media. So the path of print media is now when editorial comes in. Yes, so that degree I've pursued at Karatini University, and after Karatini University, I had other professional papers in editing at Royal Light Publishers. That is after having worked with the East African Educational Publishers.
Okay.
Yes.
That's very amazing, huh? You seem to be so much experienced, huh? So tell us about your editing experience now in broad.
Well, I began as a creative editor. Mostly when you are talking about creative editing, you are talking about storybooks.
Yeah.
We have novels, both fiction and non-fiction novels.
Yeah.
So that is where I began as an editor. That is at East African Educational Publishers. So from there, I transited into curriculum-based. That is when CBC had just been introduced.
Yeah.
So after going through a training of CBC, so now I grasped the idea of the CBC and began editing the curriculum-based materials.
Okay.
Yes.
Very interesting.
There's something I have not mentioned. There is also
you?
research journals. Yes, I've also had a privilege to be well conversant with research papers.
Yeah.
Yes, because a collection of research papers now makes a journal.
Okay.
So that's why we call them research journals. Yes.
Okay, I understand that as an editor, always you try to bring out the best possible version of the author's story. And we are told that you highlight the right moments and ensure that the reader is taken on a journey. How do you achieve this as an editor?
Well, you achieve this first by having a passion in creative work. You have to take an author or a reader or the target audience through a journey of the author.
Yes.
You must have gotten first the idea of the author, the original idea of the author.
Yes.
So basically, we editors, we don't just run with a book. We just don't run with a manuscript. The first thing when you get a manuscript, you just grasp the original idea. So basically, you are just trying to build on it, and that's why we are always called the language champions, because editorial is about language.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about coming out figuratively, how to put flesh on the skeleton that you have received from the author. Yes.
So you normally ensure that you do that?
Yes, you have to do that, because that is what editing is all about. There is nothing less of that.
And what's the most difficult thing about that?
The most difficult thing
Yeah.
is getting the gist of the manuscript.
Yeah.
Because at times you might think that this is what the author wants to communicate, but probably that is not it. And with editorial, the editor has the power to manipulate a manuscript.
Yeah.
And sometimes an author might look at the fine copy of the manuscript and be surprised, is this my book? Because you have really gone around with it, you have really added a lot of flesh, removed, because at times you can even remove a whole chapter and rewrite your own chapter, so that you bring out what you feel the author was trying to communicate.
Yeah.
Yes. So the biggest challenge with editorial is getting the gist.
Yeah.
getting the main idea, what the author would like to communicate. That is majorly with creative books. But with research journals, that one is straightforward, because if you are researching on the impact of COVID-19, there is nothing creative about it. Yeah, it is just a matter of aligning the content with maybe the guidelines of a publishing house and so on. Yeah.
Wow. My viewers, you don't want to miss this. This is something that you need to be having, because I know that some of us, we are ardent book readers. So an editor is very, very important for you to read that book that maybe you're currently reading. So ensure that you get this aspect that is very important. Now, coming back to what you've just told us, in 2019, I heard that you were recognized by the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Developments as the youngest popular editor in regards to English competency-based curriculum. Yeah, tell us more about that, and how did you feel?
Well, so with a competency-based curriculum,
yes,
there are different areas of editorial.
Yeah.
For example, there is language,
yeah,
there is science and technology,
yeah,
there is agriculture. So generally, you cannot be all over, because you will lose the sharpness
yeah,
in a certain area. They are called learning areas.
Okay.
You get? So for me, after knowing that print media is my thing,
yes,
I went with languages. So at that time, I was just specialized in language as a learning area.
Okay.
So I had edited several books,
yeah,
that were under the competency-based curriculum. That is grade 1, grade 2,
yeah,
grade 3, and grade 4. I tried another language area, and still it was approved by KICD. So that
okay,
was still a win. So what it made me feel is that with passion, with consistency and hard work, you can always achieve what others have taken so long to achieve in the publishing industry. Yes.
So did you see that coming?
No, I didn't see that coming per se, but it didn't get me by surprise, because I believe I deserved it.
So your work was so excellent, eh?
Yes. It's not easy to be a first-time editor and then have a book approved by KICD.
Okay. Yeah?
Yes. Some you have to, not you have to, but it happens that sometimes you can submit several books in different learning areas. Then you find that just 2 or 3 have been approved. Yeah.
For me, I also happen to have done communications. With editing, there is proofreading, there is fact checking and source checking. And these are repetitive tasks. So how do you stay motivated with these repetitive tasks?
When you get a manuscript,
yes,
the editor, you have to use all the means to love it.
Yeah.
So that even if you go through it every day 3 times,
yes,
you won't get bored with it. Sometimes you have to put yourself in the shoe of the author, so that you're like, this is my book.
Yeah.
It has to go through all the stages of publication, and I have to bring the best out of it.
Yeah.
Because when you separate yourself from the author, you might be like, I'm actually just doing this for the author and not for myself.
Yeah.
So you have to put yourself in the shoe of the author and own the manuscript.
Yeah.
If you don't own the manuscript, sometimes you might overlook some facts.
Yeah.
And one thing with editorial, if you want your book to fail, we call it dead on arrival, having factual errors. Is, for example, saying a cow has 6 legs in your book. That is a factual error, because a fact is a cow has 4 legs. So it can never be like in your, you have now invented your cow and it has 6.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you do not own up the manuscript and the book, let me say the manuscript, because for it to become a book, it has to have undergone all the stages. So for you to take the manuscript through all the publication stages, you must own it and love it. Yes. So, so that you keep on reading. Because like for publication, you find that you will have read like the book, the manuscript, not less than 10 times.
Like seriously?
Yes. Yes. Because the stage you are talking about of proofreading, that is the final stage. The book is already out, the design is already out, the designer has done the cover and the inside design. Everything is already out. That is when now the editor, you go through it and find out that there are no minor errors before you give now to a proofreader. Because according to publication terms, an author, an editor, you are not allowed to proofread your own book because of biasness. A manuscript that you have edited, you are not allowed to proofread it because it will be biased. You might overlook, and the thing is, it's called head block in editing, whereby you have thought, and you cannot think anymore. So to avoid that head block, give it to someone else who is just proofreading, and this proofreader is not checking the factual errors, is not checking consistency, just mechanical errors alone. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing, huh? But the process is a bit tiresome, huh?
An editor, if you're full-time or part-time, you have to be a reader. That is the first qualification of being an editor, Mr. Callistus. Because if you don't love reading, what are you doing with a manuscript?
Yes.
And that's why besides having a manuscript that you are editing, you must have another book alongside that you're just reading. Not because you are editing it, you are just sharpening your language skills. You are also just you are enhancing your language prowess as well, and vocabulary. Because you cannot be using eating every day in every manuscript. You have to add on words like consume. Yes.
So how would you describe your editing style?
Editing style.
Yeah. How would you describe it?
Let me just call it as the professional style, because every publication house has its style, and you have to align. For example, if today I have to leave publishing house A and go to publishing house B, I'll have to align to its editorial style. Yes. And the style that I'll use in a curriculum-based material is not the style that I'll use in a creative book. Why? Because with a curriculum-based material, there is a curriculum design that you have to align the manuscript to, or the content to. And that curriculum design, it's not provided by the publishing house. It is provided by KICD, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. So it is us publishers who have to align our content to its design, because these are materials that are used in schools.